Hey, everybody, welcome to another Heartland Bible Church Youth Group Bible Study. If you remember last study, we talked about the time that Jesus did something shocking. He looked right at one of his best friends, Peter, and said four simple words: "Get behind me, Satan." Now, that's unbelievable. I can't even imagine what it would feel like if anybody called me Satan, but having Jesus call me Satan would be absolutely crushing. But remember what we said last time. Jesus will always tell us the truth, even if it doesn't feel good for our own good. The truth that Jesus was telling Peter was that Peter was acting like Satan would act. You see, Jesus had a secret mission that he had to execute on earth. As the Son of God, as God himself, Jesus had come to earth with one goal: to live the perfect life that we could not live, and then willingly give his life in our place. You see, that way, the punishment for our sin, all the bad things we've ever thought or said or done, would be washed away, and we could live clean lives now and forever with God. Nothing would stop Jesus from fulfilling his mission. Not Satan, and not his friend Peter. Nothing and no one. So the next question is, if Jesus is that serious about his mission, then what's our mission? What does Jesus expect from me? So that Jesus doesn't ever look at me and say, "Get behind me, Satan." Well, Jesus answered this question in Mark chapter 8, verses 34 through 37. Here's what Jesus said after putting Peter in his place. He said this: "And calling the crowd to him with his disciples, Jesus said to them, 'If anyone would come after me, let him deny himself, take up his cross, and follow me. For whoever would save his life will lose it. But whoever loses his life for my sake and the gospel's will save it. For what does it profit a man to gain the whole world and forfeit or lose his soul? For what can a man give in return for his soul? For whoever is ashamed of me, said Jesus, and of my words in this terrible generation, of that person will the Son of Man," that's Jesus, "be ashamed when he comes in the glory of his Father with the holy angels." Now, these are some pretty powerful words from Jesus, from God, and there are two big things that we need to think about. First, following Jesus means giving up everything. Second, following Jesus means gaining everything. Now, that sounds like a contradiction. It sounds like two things that don't work together. But remember, Jesus came to earth with a serious mission. And so he expects his followers to have a serious mission too. A spy who would rather stay home and watch movies all day instead of going out and investigating secrets wouldn't be a very good spy. A cook who wanted to spend all her time dancing instead of making food wouldn't be a very good cook. And a Christian who doesn't want to live like a Christian, who doesn't want to live as Jesus would live, well, that person is not a very good Christian. So following Jesus, first of all, it means giving up all of your own desires if they get in the way of the mission. Jesus said that we have to be ready to deny ourselves and take up our cross. Now, what does that mean? Well, in the old days, nailing someone to a cross and leaving them hanging there to die was one of the worst things you could do to one of the worst criminals. And Jesus said, if you want to follow him, you have to be willing even to go through that if you want to be his follower. So this means choosing to live like Jesus would live. It means things like speaking kindly instead of being harsh and cruel when you'd rather just give it to somebody the way you feel angry. It means being willing to give your time to help your brother or your sister with a chore instead of saying, "Oh, forget them, I'm going to do what I want to do." It means being respectful and obedient with a parent instead of rolling your eyes or ignoring them or talking mean about them behind their back. Now, this sounds like a lot of work because sometimes we all feel like doing wrong things. But remember, following Jesus means giving up everything. It means even giving up things that you want to do or feel like doing, and instead choosing to do the right thing that Jesus would do. But here's where we turn to the second part of what this means. Following Jesus, yes, it means giving up everything, all my own desires, everything that I just feel like doing, if it would be wrong to do that. But it also means gaining everything. You see, the reality is that living selfishly, only doing what you want, not caring at all about what other people need or not caring what God thinks, this kind of life, it proves that you're not the kind of person who's going to live with God forever in heaven. As Jesus said, how good is it if you got everything you ever wanted? Piles of money, fancy vacations, nice clothes, whatever it is that you want. What if you got all of that, but you ended up losing your soul forever? How valuable would that be? To follow Jesus means to live in such a way that Jesus will gladly and joyfully welcome you into heaven someday. Well, that doesn't mean that you do good things so that you can earn your way in. Not at all. We're saved and we gain an entrance into heaven only because Jesus died for us on the cross and took our place and paid for our sin. There's nothing we can do to earn heaven. But if we've truly believed in Jesus, we will have lives that show that. We will live in the kind of way that Jesus would. And so we show to ourselves and to the world that we are the kind of people who Jesus will welcome in. But for those who don't follow Jesus, unfortunately, Jesus says that he'll be ashamed. He'll be embarrassed of a person like that. There won't be a place in heaven for someone who lived their whole life in selfishness and never said, God, I'm sorry. I don't want to be like this. I know you can forgive me because Jesus died for my sin, and I'm asking you to forgive me and come into my life and make me clean forever. A person who never says those words and never means them from the heart and never tries to follow Jesus but just lives for themselves, that kind of person is an embarrassment to Jesus, and that kind of person will not enter heaven. So what kind of person do you want to be? Are you willing to be strong and courageous enough to ask for God's forgiveness, to say no to your own desires, and to live a life filled with service for others and love for God? Or are you going to go the easy path? Just live for yourself, ignore God, ignore other people, and then lose your soul forever when Jesus, in the final day, is ashamed of you. Jesus calls you to make a decision. What will you choose today?